to the alternates. He will teach us number 19, Cassie Bird. He will almost number 11, Kirsten Neal. He will back number 23, Carlin Pickens. He will under number 22, Nikki McGaffin. He will hit number 8, Maria Lopez. He will back number 4, Jessica Mullins. He will back in number 28, Harlan Hedgecock. He will quad number 3, Kaylee Wickoff. He will down set number 47, Haley Morrow. DC Colorado. Let's see the Italy goes to Team Italy. Here's the home game for this game. Team Italy. The compagnia goes to the new teacher. Batting first, catcher number 19, Marta Castaroto. Ultimo, ultimo Bandia. Batting second, left fielder number 21, Laura Rica. Ultimo, left fielder, batting third, right fielder number 20, Eka Castelli. About that game, the Bruce is again with Calder, batting fourth, designated player number 32, Mackenzie Barba. About second, Joel Country, they will get batting fifth, and first base, number 8, Andrea Pierre. About sixième, joueur de troisième but, numéro 14, batting sixth, playing third base, number 14, Junior Longi. Au septième, Jean Lecourt, numéro 23, batting seventh, playing shortstop, number 23, Melanie Shelton. About huitième, joueur de centre, numéro 27, batting eighth, center fielder, number 27, Julia Kutsoyanopoulos. About the game, Joel Country, numéro 3, batting ninth, playing second base, number 3, Alessandra Rotondo. Also up top, numéro 5, starting pitcher number 5, Alexia Lacatena. The substitute, the alternates, numéro 4, number 4, Fabrizia Marone. Numéro 15, number 15, Elisa Cecchetti. Numéro 15, numéro 10, number 10, Anita Bactoli. Numéro 24, number 24, Cristina Dognolo. Numéro 16, number 16, Alice Nicolini. Numéro 7, number 7, Ilaria Cacciamani, Team Italy. Les arbitres pour ce match, the umpires for this game. Au mound at home plate, Michael Elkins. Au premier but at first base, Casey Coleman. Au deuxième but at second base, Randy Homer. Au troisième but at third base, Adam Magaloni. Mesdames et messieurs, maintenant, s'il vous plaît, vous levez, retirez chapeau de casquette pour l'interprétation des hymnes nationaux des États-Unis d'Amérique et de l'Italie. Ladies and gentlemen, please now rise and with your hats and caps for the national anthems of the United States of America and Italy.
And then there were three teams left in the hunt for the Canada Cup title. Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Peter Loubardias alongside longtime Team Italy shortstop and Olympian Amanda Fama. And Amanda, the country that you perform for, as recently as 1 year ago, put together a fine outing in the game prior to this to oust the home country of Canada. And now they have a date with a very star-studded bunch of American Collegiate All-Stars in Triple Crown, Colorado.
Yeah, Peter, every time Italy plays Canada, it is an intense game. And Italy came out on top. They played really well. Now facing TC Colorado, they're going to have to do the exact same pitching. Alexia Lacatena is going to have to pitch her best right now to beat this TC Colorado offense. And Italy's defense is going to have to do well to hold them from advancing runners and taking extra bases. We've seen throughout the tournament, TC Colorado is a powerhouse in the circle and in the batter's box. And so it's going to be, I think, a good game. But Italy's going to really have to kind of toughen up, congratulate themselves on the win against Canada, but focus in and play their elite, the elite that they can.
Lacatena came on in relief of Ilaria Cacciamani in the game against Canada to close the game out. She's a 21-year-old product of Stanhope, New Jersey, and very familiar with a lot of the players she's going to face today because she is a University of Kentucky Wildcat, was 11-7, pitched in 94 innings this past college season. She pitched for Italy at the Olympic Games, the 2022 World Games, the 2022 European Championships. So she has some experience, and this game will require her absolute best against the lineup, led in part by third base player Danica Coffey, 12 for 23 in the tournament. Will lead things off for David King's team, Triple Crown Colorado, who have suffered just 2 losses in the tournament, both at the hands of 9-0 Japan. They are 7-2, and Lacatena starts the game with a strike on Danica Coffey, who is from Richwood, Texas, and a star at Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge. She has 4 multi-hit games in this tournament, entering this, if you will, semifinal to the winner. Yes, a date with the powerhouse that is Japan, and excited to see them in person one more time. It's been an absolute treat to be involved in the tournament, period. But as I could tell even from the first chat we had, there is something special about Japan.
There really is. I'm a dual citizen for the United States as well. I know a lot of the Team USA girls, and they are amazing athletes in every sense. Nothing against them, nothing bad about them, but there is something different about Team Japan, and that's what sets them apart, is their dynamic, the way they field the ball, the way they hit the ball, the way they pitch the ball. We see the energy that they have. Something is different. So to watch them, to see who wins this game, to play them in the finals, it's absolutely amazing to watch them.
And Danica Coffey batted .392 this year at LSU. Got off to a sizzling start in Surrey. It's cooled just a tad. Was 2 for 3 against Italy in their round robin victory earlier in the week versus the Italians. And Danica Coffey can hurt you in a lot of ways with her speed, her slap bunt ability, and we just saw it as she registers her 13th hit of the Canada Cup and has the leadoff batter aboard for Triple Crown Colorado.
And watching Coffey throughout the tournament, it's hard to defend her. Do you play her in because she can slap? Do you play back? No, because she's so fast. So she's a very, very good leadoff hitter for this TC Colorado team, as we see her on here.
Followed all week in this spot by shortstop Aaron Koffel. been so impressed with Koffel, who is Lakatana's teammate at the University of Kentucky. So this is a unique matchup where Erin Koffel hit .440 this past season for the Wildcats, and here she's hitting .414. She's 12 for 29, has 11 runs batted in. She's from Bremen, Indiana, 19 home runs collegiately, and will represent the United States in a 3-game series in Japan in early August. And a great catch and a double play as Alessandra Rotondo continues to shine on this Sunday at Softball City.
Rotondo at second definitely has the hops. We've seen that a few times. And having that experience, again, that's a running error from TC Colorado. But goes in favor of Italy, so let's see if they can crack down and get this third out at the plate.
No easy outs, really, in both of these lineups. Triple Crown Colorado has outscored their opponents 48-24. Their collective team batting average is .345. Sarah Gordon. Strong throw. You know that Bianca Stelli, with her great arm and right, is going to come up throwing if she thinks she has a chance, and made a strong throw, but not in time to get Sarah Gordon. The University of Louisville star is now 8 for 14 herself in this event. And David King having a chat, and he'll have a courtesy runner because Sarah Gordon, who is, for the most part, split time with today's designated player to begin in the on-deck circle, Reese Atwood, will have the courtesy runner with 2 out. They would have loved to have sent Coffey back out with her speed, but no, it is the previous out that has to occupy that position. So Gordon with another base hit. She's just 19. Hannah Gamble in her second Canada Cup pops up. And almost a collision that ends in a nice big hug, which you're okay to do when you make the play, as Andrea Filler over at first just did. Italy coming to bat in this Canada Cup semifinal at Softball City. Courtney Coppersmith in her second consecutive Canada Cup tournament with Triple Crown Colorado, who 1 year ago at this event knocked off the United States national team twice before losing to them in the championship final. They're looking to maybe flip the script this time, losing to Japan twice and maybe have one in them. Italy will have a lot to say about that. As red-hot Marta Gasparotto, the starting catcher again, has 4 hits in her last 2 playoff games, had 2 hits in the first game today as Italy ended Team Canada's tournament, a team they will face a week from today in their home country in a World Cup stage qualifying event, trying to determine the 8-team field for next year's World Cup of women's softball, which will happen in that exact same park and community in Butrios, Italy. Coppersmith has been a star, not at a big name school necessarily, the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. 7 innings in the tournament, given up 1 run on 5 hits, has 7 strikeouts, and has walked just 1. Gasparotto with a confident swing. The Italian catcher, and a player, Amanda, you know very, very well. Did she feel like she was struggling early in the tournament? Because she sure isn't now.
Yes, she was. She was not feeling it mentally and physically, and kind of toned it down a little bit. And you can see just with her body language and these 2 swings here that she does feel more confident. And that's what, again, elite top athletes, Olympians, national team players do, is they recognize where they are mentally and physically and know how to adjust. And we've seen that here with Marta.
Well, she strikes out, which has been a rarity, as Gasparotto has really gotten hot when her team has needed her the most. 2 hits and a run batted in a 2-0 single elimination playoff win over Israel last night, and then set the table today with a couple more hits against Canada. As Laura Vigna set to bat. Vigna, 6 for 23 in the tournament, batting .261. And Vigna can take you out of the yard. She has a couple of home runs this week and 4 runs batted in. The number 2 hitter in this Italy lineup.
She absolutely can, Peter, and we've talked about that, knowing my former teammates very well, and she can also drop a bunt and beat it out to first, and that's why Laura Vigna is such a threat. And for Team Italy to be able to kind of combat their swings, and Cooper Smith can provide the power, so as long as they can stay disciplined like Vigna does here and gets walked, and just put the bat out there when they need to, is how they're going to succeed here.
And walks Vigna, does Coppersmith. Erica Piancastelli with another home run earlier today that really put the contest away for Italy, made it 6-2. Canada scored 1 in the top of the 6th to draw to within 3, and then Piancastelli said, no, I'm going to launch one into the right center bleachers.
And that's what she does, right? We all know. And we might think that TC Colorado has the advantage with their stacked pitching staff or their lefty sloop. But Erica Piancastelli, playing in Athletes Unlimited, playing in the Japan League overseas, she's well accustomed to these top pitchers. And she can adjust well, and she knows she's also a catcher, so she knows the way the balls break, and that gives her a little advantage, and she's been doing well, as we saw last game, providing runs for her team.
She is 8 for 28, has homered 4 times, and driven in 10 runs. And early in the tournament, she was hitting a lot of balls with authority, but was making more outs than... So the stat sheet didn't look great early. It has looked awfully good late.
Well, and for 3 years, Erica and I had this bond where one another after an inning, after an out, after an at-bat. We come in and chat and talk about each other's swing and what she's seeing on mine and what I'm seeing on hers. And she struggled with making adjustments and popping up. And to see Erica do that here and then flatten it out.
Snap throw by Gordon as Hannah Gamble inadvertently took a seat. And both of them are okay.
And getting back to Piancastelli making adjustments, she struggled early, made adjustments, and again makes her one of the best hitters in the world because she can do that quickly.
Had a good rip at that Coppersmith pitch. Piancastelli, during her college career, was a star at, again, not a softball powerhouse, McNeese State. High in the air, not an easy play on that side of the diamond. But Jalia Lassiter is at Talon Edwards. That's Talon Edwards, as those two have kind of been interchangeable, but that's 44. Edwards, who goes over and retires Erica Piancastelli.
We've seen a lot of unexpected dropped fly balls.
The throw from Gordon is on the other side of the bag, and it allows Vigna to move up into scoring territory with a stolen base.
This throw is, just on the other side of that bag. That is a bang, bang. Vigna's out, and they're out of this inning.
Well, Mackenzie Barbara, the star at San Diego State with the Aztecs, has had a marvelous Canada Cup. 12 for 28, tournament leading 5 home runs, 12 runs batted in. Added another one today, albeit a sacrifice fly, but they all matter, especially when one run can make such a difference in a game. And she's at the point, and we saw this with Mexico shortstop Jillian Solis, who was at one point in this tournament walked 7 consecutive times on purpose, either straight up intentional, send her down, or the unintentional, intentional walk. And with the base open, that's what Mackenzie Barbara just received.
Anytime you can get Mackenzie Barbara to ground out, like we saw with Canada, that is a huge, huge win.
Well, Andrea Filler put Italy ahead to stay in the bottom of the 3rd inning in the first playoff game of the day with a bases-loaded 2-run single. And Italy never trailed in the game and just built on that lead. And Filler's hit off of Morgan Rackle, I think it's fair to say, was the key blow in the 6-2 triumph. And Coppersmith wins that one-on-one battle for her 2nd strikeout. Team Italy leaves a couple. We go to the top of the 2nd in this semifinal. Japan awaits in the championship game. You're watching on Softball Premier TV. A date with Japan in the championship final of the Canada Cup. To the winner. As 8 teams began this women's international competition. This tournament has been ongoing since the year 1993. And 3 teams have a chance to win it. Reese Atwood, the designated player out of Sandia, Texas. And an amazing first-year athlete for the University of Texas Longhorns, but pops up to Melanie Sheldon. And there's one down in the top half of the second inning. And Jackie Lace is not cheated on that swing. Jackie's 7 for 21 in the Canada Cup, a double, 6 runs batted in, but 0 for her last 11 in the tournament after going 6 for 6 to start the Canada Cup. Facing 21-year-old Alexia Lakatena.
We've seen a lot of ups and downs with athletes over a course of a week, and that happens. And really what matters is how you can perform in that moment.
And a strikeout of Lease chasing the high rise. And Lakatena with her first strikeout of this contest. Talon Edwards has started to heat up as this event has gone on. She's 4 for 20. Drove in their lone run against Japan in last night's playoff encounter to decide who our first tournament finalist would be, won by Japan in a game where they actually required all 7 innings to win the game, 5-1.
Where you just said, Talon Edwards drove in a run. That is rare on its own to drive in a run against Japan.
And she did it against Miyogatu, who had not given up a run in international competition that I could certainly research out. The only one I could find in recent times in the last couple of years was on a pass ball in one of her 2 wins in the Japan-USA series last August. And she, I would suggest, and you know better than me, you faced her, not necessarily at the top of her game here this week.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Again, everyone's more or less in their season. The Italian League is going on right now. College just ended for a lot of these TC Colorado teams. The Japan League is on their break. So these athletes, I don't want to say aren't in shape or tired or anything. They should be in prime shape. So to see Gatto out of shape or not at her prime is a little interesting and intriguing to see what's going on there. Is she holding back for something?
Like a World Cup stage qualifier?
Or can you, this is what I've thought before, can you perform, can you dial it down a little bit to change the game? If they know, if a team's throwing their bat out and hitting your 70-mile-an-hour pitch, if you have it, do you dial it back to 62 and change the game that way? So
Edwards is from Moore, Oklahoma, but just completed her first year at rival Ohio State. And rival in the sense that Moore, Oklahoma is really a little suburb of Oklahoma City, which is about 20 minutes down the road from Norman, Oklahoma, which is the home of the University of Oklahoma. Edwards into foul territory. No play there for Laura Vigna. At Oklahoma State University, 328 this year with 26 runs batted in. She did have 3 home runs. Comes from a very athletic background. and popped it up. Melanie Sheldon circles underneath it. And Alexia Lakatina against a lot of players that she's faced collegiately, where she is a fine pitcher at the University of Kentucky, giving Italy a good beginning from 43 feet away in this semifinal game in Surrey. The captain, Julia Longi, is she going to change her bat?
Maybe grabbing a Japan bat. See how that works.
Can you just quickly share how many bats that they might have had?
Yeah, that was a fun story. If I can make it quick, you can bring as many bats as you want. They get bat checked, so you bring a few extra in case they don't pass the pressure test. Team Italy brought about between 30 and 40 bats to the Olympic Games in 2021. Japan had somewhere between 100 and 130 bats. Let alone, okay, so they were at home, luggage
Easier.
And stuff like that, but also you're going to bring what you can. So that kind of made things clear about teams and federations and money and stuff like that, and just 130.
So here's what I will ask in all sincerity. Does it affect, I'll call it, the pop or the velocity off a bat the more that it is used? In your experience as a national team, world-class Olympic player?
Yes, we've had, with technology improving, bats are...
Edwards in foul territory records the first out off the Italian captain and third base player, Giulia Longhi.
Yeah, real quickly talking about the bats. Yes, bats now are able to get hot more quickly instead of having to break them in over and over and over. But once an athlete can feel when your bat is hot and when it is not, and that's why you often see athletes changing bats throughout the tournament. And having multiple ones. You have one for batting practice and you have one for the game.
You also mentioned that in your time, you might change to a lighter or another ounce heavier depending on the pitcher you're facing.
Exactly, Peter. We did talk about it, and I was able to be sponsored, so I was able to have a few more bats than a lot of players. But when you have that leniency, I guess to say, if you're when I was facing someone like Danielle Laurie with speed, I used a shorter, lighter bat because I have to swing, faster. Someone that might have a rise ball and a drop ball versus a side-to-side movement, I'm not going to use an end-loaded bat where it's heavier at the bottom of it. So there's a lot of factors that play into it, and that's why bat companies and bats feel different in each player's hand, and it's important to have a bat that fits you as a player.
It's terrific insight. It's been so great to learn from Amanda all week long, both on the mic and off the mic. Truly been one of my favorite parts about being involved again in this great tournament. There's a change-up from Coppersmith, who has been sharp early. She already has 3 strikeouts to her credit, facing University of Tennessee star Julia Kutsoyanopoulos. Now, you have a lot of experience in Europe. Are you finding whether it's the Netherlands, Great Britain, Italy, those are countries that come to mind. Are they starting to produce more young NCAA Division I type players, do you find?
They are, and that's what is incredible to see is a lot of these international European athletes are traveling over to the States maybe and playing and getting that exposure to top teams, maybe getting to the College World Series. And it just shows the growth of this sport. I think 10 years ago when I started playing in Italy, that was very rare. And more often now we're seeing even on Italy national team, those girls travel to America and play. And Greta Cicchetti is a great person to lead that way. Elisa Cicchetti, her cousin on the team, Marta Gasparotto has played over there. Laura Vigna's over there. And then I know Britt Vonk from Team Holland, girls from Czech Republic. It is Great Britain. A lot of those athletes travel. And that's what you have to do to play and get better. So it's good to see that happening more often and more often as softball grows.
Well, it's just great for the growth of the game and the competition of the game. A sport that's very much been dominated by two countries, the United States and Japan, as we watch this high-end collegiate all-star team with a pitching staff of 7. I remarked to you on the way to the park today as Alessandra Rotondo goes out that every year to talk about the depth in your home country, the United States, they produce at least probably 3 to 10 world-class potential pitchers for national team staff every year. And I might be selling it a little shy.
Right. It is not too familiar with how it is over in Japan, but in USA, every year there are multiple athletes that can take a position of leading spot, a starting spot on Team USA. And that's why they have such a great depth in every position. I'm working with athletes that are 10, 11 years old trying to be on Team USA. So when you're working for that for 8 years, and that's all over the country, you're bound to have multiple athletes competing.
We'll take a quick timeout and be back with the top of the third. We're off to a nice start in this game that will propel one of these two teams into a championship final with Japan. Well, they're dancing in the stands, and what an opportunity this week if you're in the area, if you made the trip. I'm not sure people always realize, A, what kind of athletes they are, how many of either current national teamers as center fielder Mackenzie Wilson tries to make her way on a bunt. But the prices to watch world-class people, if you're in this area, in your own backyard at a park like this, for young players, and there are 4 other softball divisions, 2 U19 Futures and Gold, 2 U17s going on, as well as this 8-team tournament, which will come to a conclusion with the championship final tonight. And we have seen sprinkled in the stands, and not just sprinkled, but in large quantity, how much would it mean to you growing up like these youngsters in a U19 or a U17 showcase to see some of the world's best with your own eyes?
That is so meaningful as a young athlete to not only give you hope, but know that you can interact with these girls and watch them and play, because like we've said a few times, international softball isn't played enough. So the chance that you get to see them live and watch Team Japan, or your home country here being Canada, or other Olympians on Team Italy, it's something special, and it's encouragement, because that's why you play. You watch these women. You want to be at the Olympics. You want to go to Division I. So you're here watching great athletes with TC Colorado. It means everything. And I've seen all teams signing autographs and taking pictures, and that's what it's about for little kids, is knowing that they can do that, but also that you're a personable person and really in life a great athlete that they see firsthand.
Well, I've had such incredible experiences in this sport as that catches a piece of Mackenzie Wilson, who has great speed, the center fielder. I have yet to really meet a woman at a high level in this sport who isn't a pretty sound person. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact, and generations change things, but they deserve more attention. They're great athletes. And I know in a very male-dominated world, in a lot of cases, when it comes to sports and funding and watching habits, yes, I just feel lucky. I grew up around it and learned very early what these athletes were capable of. It's going to be hard to get a ball by Alessandra Rotondo today, and she's starting to make tough plays look routine.
Again, we've seen a lot of errors in the beginning, the start of the tournament, but these are world-class, top-notch athletes. That's not going to happen again. And in a bronze medal game, you're going to see them really push themselves to make great plays like we're seeing here.
Well, it's interesting you say that, and probably the way I should have been categorizing it, but this is a bronze medal game in a sense of this tournament, but different, because real bronze medal games have two teams playing for gold and silver and two teams playing for bronze. And it's not the case in just the way a lot of these tournament formats work. But these are the three remaining teams. So that's why I almost call it a semifinal.
Yeah.
To play Japan in the championship final, and Danica Coffey had a nice turn at that. She already has a hit in the game, her 13th and 24 official at-bats, looking for her 5th multi-hit game in this, the 10th game of the tournament overall for Triple Crown Colorado. And don't be surprised if there's a play on here on a count like 2-2 with one out and a speedster in Wilson at first. No play on. Another Danica Coffey hit. 5th time in the tournament that she has recorded more than one hit in a game.
Alexia leaves that ball a little bit in the middle. With Coffey, more of that slap swing, is able to poke it in the hole. Again, getting on, doing well. 5th consecutive game hit, you said?
It's her 5th multi-hit game. Erin Koffels had a few of those. And Bianca Stelli takes charge to retire the talented Erin Koffel with the second out of the top of the third. As you expect, a game like this, when you're down to a final 3 in a high-end event like this one. And we've got a good start between Italy, who really earlier in the week was trying to find their way, but they've found their way.
And that's why you can never count Team Italy out. And I'm not saying that because I played for them, but they start off slow sometimes. But when they get going, they get going. We've mentioned this before. Again, there's 11 Olympians on this team out of the roster that was 15. So they have experience. They have the talent. And when they can pull it together, they can really do great things. And we just saw them beat Canada, a young team at that. So they should be beating them. But still, they're competing and showing why I think, again, maybe I'm biased, but why they were in that 2020 Olympic Games.
Well, the one key player, and it's a very key player, well, maybe another one. I might know her pretty well now after a week, but you know what I mean. Greta Cicchetti is the one cog in the wheel in particular, along with yourself. Sarah Gordon might have opened the scoring. Base hit to center for University of Louisville star Sarah Gordon. She has her second hit of the day, and Triple Crown Colorado breaks out on top. It's 1-0.
Does good, does very well clutching up when she needs to with runners in scoring position. And her team's done well giving her that. And able to get themselves on the board is crucial here whenever you get an opportunity. And we talk about a pitching staff, a well-rounded pitching staff. A lot of these teams, Team Canada is kind of working through that with the loss of their Olympic players. And Team Italy has 3 Olympic athletes, and they've shown why they are. Lacatena doing really well last game. Same with Ilaria Cacciamani. We've seen Alice Nicolini several times throw amazing games, and you are missing Italy's best, Greta Cicchetti. Yes, and unfortunately it's a loss, but these 3 girls are able to kind of make up for that because they are and they have been doing this for a good amount of years.
But it's a terrific point. And the other part, though, is that pitching is such a vital part of this sport. And does Canada still have 6 or 7 bronze medalists left? Yes, they do. But it's their pitching staff that's in transition. And it's the great separator. Not to suggest that Italy has an excellent team and an excellent hitting lineup. Canada has a good, really good hitting lineup too. The separator, and we've seen it this week, is pitching. It's pitching.
Well, right, and just from personal experience, pitchers act differently in the circle, but they're essentially the leader on the field. If they're not on,
Hannah Gamble, run batted in number 3. 2 big ones against Canada in one of the games of the tournament. A 2-1 Triple Crown Colorado victory in the first playoff game for those 2 teams in 8 innings. Hannah did not have a run batted in before the game-winning 2-run single to beat Canada. And now she has extended the Triple Crown Colorado lead to 2-0. And remember, this is a team that has not scored 70-plus like Japan, as my partner just laughs. Then it's hard not to when you look at their numbers. And they've only scored more than 70 and given up 4. That's what Japan has done to go 9-0.
And I only laugh because it's unreal. It's like they do magical things, really. And what's hard is to pretty much everyone get mercied. No, you're going to get mercied by Japan, but like.
Off of Longy's foot or ankle as Rylan Hedgecock comes into the game.
And this ball's hit to the left of Longy, and she just bobbles it enough with the speed of this TC Colorado roster. She's not able to pick it up and have a play.
And here, you've just won an emotional game. The games start adding up. And now you have to settle in before this game gets away on you. And it's the one thing that both Japan and Triple Crown Colorado, their talent, their hitting lineups, they can turn a 0-0 game into 5 fast.
Yeah, that's what's scary about playing them. And if your pitching's off, like we've been talking about, if your pitching's off and you're leaving it down the middle and there's bases loaded, that potentially could be 4 more runs with one pitch across the board. And so you really have to tighten it up and adjust within a pitch or two. And if you're not making adjustments, you need to figure it out quick. Get the ball on the ground so your defense can make a play. Get it in the air, and of course easier said than done, but you need to figure out a way to start and get one more out here for Lakatena.
And she's facing pinch hitter Haley Morrow out of Brigham Young University, where she just completed her first year for the Cougars in Salt Lake City, Utah. She's 1 for 8 in this tournament, is Haley Morrow. Hitting for Jackie Lease. Her lone hit came in a round-robin game against Israel. And a chance to blow this one open a little bit. This is a really crucial moment for Italy, coming off their first international win over Canada in their last 4 tries. 6-2 in our first game today. And Lakatina trying to keep her team in it because they're capable and they're an excellent hitting team in their own right. Lakatina, good pitch. Went upstairs hoping to maybe get Morrow to chase, but the discipline was excellent, and now a full count. And there is a critical strikeout in this game for Alexia Lakatina. And it remains 2-0, but Triple Crown Colorado on top in a game to decide the second finalist at this 2023 Canada Cup. Good crowd. We've had some huge ones when Canada's played earlier this week in that 6 o'clock time slot that Canada was in every day. I'm guessing that organizers were hoping Canada might go just a little longer, but they fell to Italy. A well-deserved Italian win. They made all the key plays. To use Amanda's phrase, they clutched up at the most important times and received a fine pitching performance, the combination of Ketchamani and then Lakatina late. And they will meet again, Canada and Italy, with higher stakes certainly for Canada. Italy knows they're going to play and host the Women's World Cup. Gasparotto off Coppersmith. Coffee in time. Picked it up with her bare hands and delivered a strike.
Yeah, great job. Quick getting over there. She's done it plenty of times. We see 3 or 4 times grabbing that ball with her bare hand, taking away an extra second or two or an out versus safe, and beaming it over and getting it out. Good job recovering.
Gasparotto unlucky not to have her first hit of this game and third hit of the day. She had 2 against Canada as University of Duke star. Not sure what she writes, but she goes through that ritual every single time she takes the mound. Cassidy Curd had a superb first year at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. Did Cassidy Curd. And has thrown very well in this event. She's from Port St. Lucie, Florida. 18-3 at Duke University. Pitched her team all the way to a super regional before losing in 2 straight to Nigeri Canada, Alana Vaughter. 2 exceptional pitchers for Stanford who made their way to the 8-team College World Series. And Cassidy Curd will be heard from again collegiately. My guess is she will represent her country at some point. She takes always that big bump from Hannah Gamble, which would absolutely buckle me to my knees, and gets set to face Laura Vigna as Courtney Coppersmith. And Dave King, one of the things I like about how he goes about his business, and in order for college programs to allow him to play these girls in a tournament like this, they're not doing it here without being on the phone with all those head coaches, whether it's the head coach at Duke, LSU, all these high-end programs, to say, we see the benefit. We know in some ways. I think this tournament for Triple Crown Colorado is almost a great scouting tool for the United States national team.
Oh, absolutely. And I've seen some, I think, Team USA scouts here in the crowd, and I think that's probably one of the reasons Coppersmith got pulled there. She's a tough, very tough kid, very tough athlete. Got a ball rocketed right back at her. Did it hurt? Yes. Can she still pitch? Yes. But David King's got a bunch of pitching staff members, like we saw. Pitchers on his roster. And so they've got college careers that are more important than this tournament. And, yeah, they're definitely in contact with their schools. And Dave respects that, and that's respectable for him.
No, it helps his program. And they've brought another fine team up 2-0, trying to make their way to a second consecutive, not the same players. A few. Coppersmith was here. Hannah Gamble was here last year. Outside of that, it's a turnover, but it's a turnover of especially the young top players in NCAA Division I. A lot of fresh women of the year, freshmen of the year, as they're called in the United States. When you're on first team All-American squads, you're in very elite company. And this woman is an elite hitter. Erica Piancastelli facing Cassidy Curd. And Edwards comes on and comes up throwing. As Piancastelli hit it well off Cassidy Curd, but Talon Edwards, the outfielder out of Moore, Oklahoma, made a nice running catch.
That's a good idea for the right fielder to think ahead of time. If this is a line drive to me, I could potentially get a double play here. And I was interested at Gamble, Hannah Gamble at first base. She was playing extremely close to Erica Piancastelli, and Erica rifled that ball right past her, a couple feet above her head, and now we see her back quite a ways with Mackenzie Barbara up to bat.
Well, here is a great matchup. A leadoff call against Laura Vigna. As Italy was trying to get a runner into scoring position for Mackenzie Barbara, but left too early, did Vigna, and it remains 2-0. Triple Crown Colorado as we go to the top of the fourth. You and I don't know when it's going to happen. Maybe we should start up a little of our own softball podcast. Because the conversations, which between us have gone to a lot of amazing places, be a good show. Good hitter, Talon Edwards. She has really come on in this event. Another hit, 1 for 2 in the game. And the right fielder has the leadoff batter on. And as I observe and leave podcast mode, Christina Toniolo has entered the game, number 24. I know that Alice Nicolini was warming up earlier, but they turn it over to Toniolo. I am so torn on this upcoming World Cup stage qualifier, and here's the only reason why. As Toniolo comes in. Now, I don't want to take a chance, whether I'm Canada, Japan, or Italy. However, if you pull back the curtain just a little, because I've been thinking about it all afternoon and all week, to watch these three teams on their way after today's games going to that World Cup qualifier. Who are you pitching? How many innings are you using them? That's 1 for filler, and that's going to be 2. Nicely turned double play against both Wilson. That's not an easy throw, is it, Amanda?
That's not because she's spinning, and unfortunately Wilson, for her, hits this in the perfect spot for Filler to make a pretty easy tag, but then spin and make an athletic throw to second place where, again, it's no longer a force. So Melanie Sheldon receiving the ball has to get down and tag the runner. So it's a difficult play in a sense of a lot of things can go wrong, but that was well done by Italy defense.
Well, there is no doubt the more I've thought about even the Canadian utilization, it's all about having your pitching staff, your reps, the experience. Teams have not played here the same way they're going to play. And the only anecdote I was going to add is this. So Japan will be awfully hard to beat in that qualifier. Not to say that Italy or Canada on the right day in the right situation couldn't. Italy, to me, is almost out of the equation because they're in. So then, if you're Canada, what they have decided, and I understand why, what you need is enough reps to have Sarah Groenwagen, Morgan Rackle, and Dawn Bodrug ready, really in many ways, not to face those two teams. But it's Venezuela, Philippines, and New Zealand. And that's the strategy this week. So can be a little frustrating in the sense that it's a hard position to be in the more I continue to play it out, because you want to do well here, you're in front of your home fans, all of it, but I'd probably do exactly the same thing.
It's a difficult decision, and even with the change here that we saw, and Christina does well getting out of it, we sit up here and think about it all the time, which who knows what they're really thinking. Is there a strategy? Is there not a strategy? It's a difficult thing to be a top-notch elite coach.
What will continue? All part of the fun of the 2023 Canada Cup. Been a lot of storylines. There's been a lot of great young players. There's been countries on the rise. Japan, from the land of the rising sun, will play the winner of this game next in the championship final. Triple Crown, Colorado in front of Italy. 2-0 in this semi-final affair, if you will, at the 2023 Canada Cup. It's been an absolute delight to be here for a second consecutive year and call, well, this year, I've not been cheated behind the microphone this year. But I really, Amanda, you've made it a sensational experience again. I love this game, and I love learning about the players and the people and who plays it, and even all the discussions we've had today in particular about strategy or during the week. Why do certain coaches approach certain things? I guess I always, to a certain degree, come from a bit of a coaching background, grew up around this sport. A head coach of a senior women's team, was like a father figure to me. So been exposed to the game and the coaching side of things. So it's been interesting to me trying to figure out why some of the moves have been made, because the truth of the matter is staffs here pitchers, players would have been handled different. They would have. As Mackenzie Barbara, who was at home plate, and Laura Vigna ended the last Italian inning when she was caught for a leadoff.
And circling back to that, Peter, it's something I've had to learn through 10 years playing international softball is international softball is different. It's very different. And then myself personally going from the United States and California, where it's a softball mecca of the world, going to Italy, it's very different. The way they think is different, and that's what you have to adjust to and learn to, and how other teams go about it. Have there been decisions that coaches have made, and I'm like, what are you doing? Absolutely. But they have a rhyme and a reason behind it, and it's very different at this level. That still, I know with Team Italy, sometimes it's hard to understand why coaches do what they do, but they have the reason behind it and a strategy that they believe in. And as an athlete, you have to trust your coach. And it's all part of that process and learning and growing, and it's really incredible when you dig down deep into it, and you can only really learn that as a player. And that's why this has been fun for me. Is, of course, I talk a lot about Team Italy. I'm very, very proud to have been able to be a part of that, but to watch them here get better and kind of expose them a little bit, because softball in Italy isn't that well known for this exact reason. It's so different, and they play the game differently because it's not that popular. And so, again, it's just fun to be here and to work with you and chat on what you think as someone who's been commentating and working through professional sports and softball for years and years, and myself as a player. It's a great combination.
Well, it's been so much fun. And again, people at home might be going, enough of the conversations and let's get to more ball. But I think it's important to help people understand, where players are coming from. I know as a fan, I'm always intrigued by, why are things happening? Why are they doing this? Why aren't they? But, I have to remind myself even now, and I'm not afraid to say it on the air, is that, there is always a plan. And I know there's a plan, and it's a well-scripted plan for everything. Koffel for 1 and 2.
As a shortstop, when you see that ball hit, Filler takes that ball 2 steps to second base, you're kind of like, yes, I've got this. Great job tagging the bag. Staying inside the lane, that's important with a runner coming in and doubling up. A solo double play is always fun.
That one was almost something you could get at your local tailor. Little tailor-made for Aaron Koffel. And that really is the best part. It's just all the great athletes that have been on display this week who make this game that's so hard look pretty routine. Like Haley Morrow just did. Got her body, glove down, stayed down, ends the inning. So Cassidy Curd uses her defense, and they were best friends, to be sure, in that inning. Triple Crown, Colorado. 2, Italy, no score at the Canada Cup. After working with Luciano and his lovely wife this week again, don't you wish you knew Spanish?
Or they say Italian and Spanish are similar, but absolutely not. Well, I mean, for me at least.
Muy bueno. Such lovely people. Again, that's what this is all about. Nothing better than when you go to work and you really enjoy the people and you love what you do. Danica Coffey loves what she does, and she's loved the Canada Cup. She's 14 for 25 this week. The leadoff hitter for Triple Crown Colorado. And gets ahead in the count. Christina Toniolo played at the University of Chicago, Illinois. And certainly had a lot of reps collegiately. Pitched a ton of innings there this year. Not an elite school or an elite program, so her record was 5-22, but I'm not sure you can ever have a better chance as a young pitcher, and there's so many in this event, than to face lineups like Japan. Is, guess what? Danica Coffey is 3 for 3 today.
She's on fire, and a great game to be on fire at. Drives that ball to center field. I'm sure Julia Kutsnopoulos, or Coots as we say in center field, wanted to dive for that. She always wants to dive. Always, always, but that's a smart play because she's got no one behind her. And Coffey, with the speed she has, can make that an in-the-park home run and give them 3 on the board. So that was a smart defensive play, and Coffey has really been impressive.
Erin Koffel, and even though she's in the number 2 spot in the lineup, 2-0. Yes, another run would be important. Was not expecting what I just saw in regards to, she's just such a good hitter. But this is an important run potentially in this game for sure. You have Mackenzie Barbara, who probably gets one more chance. Pian Castelli, who will get a chance or two. One thing about Italy, with all that experience and good hitters, they can change a 2-0 game in a heartbeat. And as long as Toniolo and now Alice Nicolini up and throwing again, and she's had herself a fine tournament. I know you're a big fan just of her work and never seems phased, you've told me, regardless of the situation she ends up in. She threw a masterpiece, a 7-inning performance last night against Israel. She's had 2 or 3 other good outings as Toniolo continues to work to Erin Koffel. Who helped her country win the 2021 U18 World Cup and hit .478 with 7 runs batted in and 2 home runs. That tournament, I believe, was played in China in December of 2021. It was scheduled for, we know what year. You don't even have to say it anymore. And it wasn't a full field of teams as a result either. There were a lot of, like Japan did not enter a team in that U18 World Cup. So it was, Canada did not have a team in that event. The U.S. did, and they won it quite handily, and the woman at home plate had a big part of it. She's going to represent her country again in the Japan-USA series in August, and I sense Erin Koffel is going to be in red, white, and blue many times before her softball playing days are over. She'd be a perfect target if softball gets back into the Olympics in the year 2028 in Los Angeles. And she is on. And trouble brewing with the top two, and we've seen a lot of these two on base all week. Coffey now with 15 hits in the tournament. And Sarah Gordon's having herself a day. She's 2 for 2 with an RBI single.
And then here she is. If she gets that sacrifice bunt sign again, sacrificing her great bat to execute. Nope, but doing what they have to do to get more runs on the board.
3 is always so different, it seems, than 2. And that's a great bunt. Filler throws it down the line. And 2 more runs are going to score. As Sarah Gordon lays down a beauty. The errant toss, and 2-0 turns into 4-0.
Shows late, and the reason you show a little late, even though it is a sacrifice bunt, she swung away at that pitch before, so that kind of confuses the defense, and throws are crucial on bunts, and when that ball curves in towards the runner, the second baseman coming across at that hard angle, mind you, second basemen on bunts have to stop on a dime and really plant their foot on the bag, and that's just a throwing error.
Christina Toniolo will give way, and we'll chat a little bit more about veteran left-hander Alice Nicolini when we return, and her team now is in some real trouble in this semifinal game against Triple Crown Colorado. 2 just turned into double 2, 4. Alice Nicolini comes in. Alexia Lacatina started, gave the ball to Christina Toniolo. And now Alice Nicolini, one of my favorite names of the week, comes in for Italy, trying to keep it at 4-0. Triple Crown Colorado has out-hit Italy 7-1 in the game. Nicolini has pitched a team-high 19 innings, given up 5 runs on 13 hits, 13 strikeouts, and walked 5. And facing Hannah Gamble, who has an RBI single that made it 2-0 in the top of the 3rd inning. So 2 in the 3rd, 2 here in the 5th. And the dangerous Hannah Gamble feel like she's still due to hit one out of here. Something she did a number of times last year in this very tournament. She had 3 home runs, a grand slam against Chinese Taipei on the 20th of June. And Alice Nicolini, referred to by my terrific partner, Amanda Fama, her longtime teammate, as change-up a little earlier in the week. And a walk in the bases. now with a runner for Sarah Gordon. Again, it's happened 3 times for the catcher in the game. Now, Koffel's going to, or that's not Koffel, that's 22, not 12. Pitcher Nikki McGaffin comes in. This roster doesn't have a lot of pinch running options but pitchers, just the way their team was put together. There's 7 pitchers. There are not a lot of extra position players, and we've already seen a couple of them in the game. Rylan Hedgecock. If Rotondo hangs on to the ball, it's an out. Or at least it looked like it from our vantage point, which is too bad because she has played some fantastic second base. And again, you've been out there now for a long time. It's their second straight game. You're down 4. You're in game number 11 of the tournament. I don't care how well conditioned you are. Is it fair to say that mental fatigue is as difficult at world-class levels as physical fatigue?
Yeah, absolutely. They've had the tough game was this morning. That was the important game for them, and they gave it their all, and they won, and they did really well. This game is kind of slower paced. The adrenaline's kind of gone, and when that mental fatigue gets to you, that's when these errors start happening. Mental errors, not catching balls, making bad throws on bunts. It's a very real thing, and it happens, and at this level, that's what can win or lose a game or get one out of control with runs.
Well, that's a quick way to show why you're an excellent player. Over at second, Melanie Sheldon, Alessandra Rotondo, and that is pretty to watch. 6-4-3, exactly what Italy was looking for, a double play.
Again, I've said it a few times with Nicolini pitching. She, not much of a strikeout hitter. Of course, they get strikeouts, but hitters don't square the ball up. They don't hit it solid off her, so the defense is able to make those plays, get those double plays. And that's why Nicolini is efficient and effective in crunch situations, which she usually sees herself in. And she saw one just now, which this is typical for her.
28 years of age, pitching in her 20th inning of this Canada Cup. And you said her work ethic is phenomenal.
Yes, and that changed a couple years ago when Tokyo was in sight for her, and she worked hard physically, mentally, and again, with the help of our former coach who passed away to COVID, Enrico, they worked together, and she improved mentally, and that helped her physically and perform on the field, and there was a huge change. And then COVID happened, of course, but she's done so well, and being close with her, I'm happy to watch her play, but that she just does so well since then. She comes to compete every single time. Again, her memory is amazing, and we use that to her advantage, but she works so hard, and she gets the outcome for it, and that's why she does it.
Trying to get her team out of a real jam and keep their hopes alive of playing against Japan again. Japan awaits, trying to cap off this Canada Cup with a perfect 10-0 record. And Nicolini does it again. Induces a 6-4-3 double play and then records her first strikeout. 2 more for Triple Crown Colorado, and they lead it by 4, heading to the bottom of the 5th at the Canada Cup. Well, Cassidy Curd has a little more insurance to work with, taking over in the game. The University of Duke, or Duke University star, took over earlier in the game from the starter, Courtney Coppersmith. The winner to face Japan. Championship game slated. Might go a little later than 6 o'clock. And it is time to see if Melanie Sheldon and Team Italy can put some hits together. They only have one in the game. Change up, misses up to Sheldon. Struck out against Courtney Coppersmith in the second inning. 2 in the third, 2 in the fifth have Triple Crown Colorado inching closer to this program, not this team, but this program's second consecutive appearance in the Canada Cup final. They lost 5-1 to the United States national team here late last June. The tournament was played earlier. It's back into its regular dates. Haley Morrow into the hole to retire Melanie Sheldon. She came into the game earlier to replace Jackie Lease.
And she more or less slides for this ball, and that's a good idea, because if she's leaning forward for that ball and dives, she's probably going to tumble and not be able to make a play. So that slide was great. Popped up, beamed it over to first. Very athletic play. I liked that one.
Excellent play by Haley Morrow. Plays at Brigham Young University. Kutsoyanopoulos, she could certainly kickstart an Italian rally. The outstanding center fielder from Italy. And that's one of the things that I frankly really enjoy about Team Italy is not all, but they have a lot of their, if I will say, own on this team. You know, you look at Israel or Greece, and again, still think it's great, but I like the fact that they're getting better within the framework of their own country. And you have mentioned even in this broadcast about, you know, you've seen some real growth in your time as somebody who has made the game better there.
Right. I think, honestly, to see some growth nowadays, there's going to have to be a few dual citizens that have seen softball at different levels in those college players, and that's amazing. They can bring so much two countries and teams, and we see that with Israel and building a great dynamic and culture over there. And Julia actually being the dual citizen and bringing that culture over. But Team Italy does have a lot of homes, Italy being athletes' home on their team, and that's a real special thing and prideful when you are able to do well with a team.
Now, you know her well. She's from Mission Viejo, California, playing at the University of Tennessee. Is it Mom where the Italian roots come from? Because Kutsoyanopoulos would indicate to me that Dad might have a little Greek heritage there, too. She might have had a choice.
I'm not sure, actually, and I don't think her family's here, but they are. You look at her, she looks Italian, she talks, and you're not sure where she's from, but an amazing, just because she is so fun. She is such a fun person. She brought so much energy to the team when I was on it, and I don't know how old we're like 10 years apart. So she brings that spark back to me where I'm 31, 32 years old playing. But again, very prideful. And that's what I'll say is every single dual citizen on Team Italy is very prideful and proud to be Italian along with being American.
Alessandra Rotundo up the middle with 2 out. Her first hit of the afternoon. She's 1 for 2 and has made a lot of quality plays, whether it's been in this game. I thought she was a difference maker even defensively in the game against Canada.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now she'll trade her hitting helmet in for the running helmet. Marta Gasparotto, 0 for 2. Morrow again ranging, and Haley Morrow helps Triple Crown Colorado shut the door on Italy in the bottom of the 5th. They get a hit. They strand 1. 4-0. Triple Crown Colorado 6 outs away from playing Japan for a 3rd time and the title at the Canada Cup. Triple Crown Colorado in command in this, if you will, semifinal affair. 1 game left to be played in the women's international division. Japan, and right now, Triple Crown Colorado closing in. Lost last night in the game to determine our first finalist to Japan 5-1. The only time that Japan has been asked to play all 7 innings and fell 7-0 to Japan in a more dominant Japanese performance earlier. But if there's one team here who could put together 7 great innings one time, and I hope that we get ourselves a great championship final coming up after this one. Talon Edwards, Rotondo. Very close.
That was close. I think if the second baseman takes 1 or 2 steps up instead of waiting for it right there, can be a difference, but that's a tough play, and
It was really close.
that was really close, yeah.
On the third look that Luciano Lafrano, the head of Softball Premier Television, who's worked beyond belief, and his wife tirelessly, 2 people who do the work of about, 16 under some other circumstances, gave us a really nice look there. And originally thought safe. First look, thought safe. Third look, it was even closer than I thought.
Those slower balls are sometimes the hardest.
Lassiter. Drills the Nicolini pitch after she comes in and does what Alice Nicolini does. Gets ground balls. Not a strikeout pitcher, but gives up a hard line shot to Jalia Lassiter. Her 3rd hit of the Canada Cup. An excellent outfielder who has primarily been used in the outfield. Can Danica Coffey from Richwood, Texas, go 4 for 4 today? She's 3 for 3. Slap hitter. Talked a couple of times during the course of Triple Crown Colorado's games about some familiarity, or certainly see a little Natasha Watley there, one of the all-time great U.S. infielders, an amazing shortstop. Maybe more importantly, as good a leadoff hitter, I think, as maybe this sport has ever seen. When you watched Olympic gold medalist Natasha Watley play the game, if the ball made its way from bat into fair territory, she had a chance to be at first base. And she was a master of taking every liberty coming out of that box. She's a left-handed batter just like Coffey. She had bunting, slapping. There might be a hitting school for slapping and bunting named after Natasha Watley. And give Alice Nicolini credit. She's the first to retire Danica Coffey. Bottom of the 6th on its way next in the semifinal affair at Softball City in Surrey, British Columbia.
to right field bleachers.
Oh, if only sometimes we could share some of the fun. That was phenomenal. There's the Macarena. The one-hit wonder from Spain, still catchy, was being played. Laura Vigna went to Florida Southwestern State. Any chance she finds a Division I home this coming season?
I think there's a very good chance that we'll see something soon with Vigna headed somewhere else.
All right. Jolly Lassiter shows off her fine play again and left. I love how she glides to this ball.
Makes it look easy. I thought Vigna had a hit, and then you look out there and they're right behind it. This is a good TC, a very talented, and at this point an elite TC Colorado team. They're fun to watch.
Well, they've had a great week. Again. Last year's team beat the United States twice. Bianca Stelli just got underneath it. And Haley Morrow has come in to play some excellent second base for Triple Crown Colorado. Has a routine pop-up to deal with this time. That hasn't been the case on 2 or 3 other occasions. Mackenzie Barbara. Does she have one Barbara blast left in her before the week is out? 5 home runs. 2 that she launched over the right field tent behind the right field fence. She's from Long Beach, California. Hit 13 home runs this college season at San Diego State for the Aztecs. Was 16 for 27 last summer at the European Championships. Had 3 home runs, 12 more runs batted in that event. She can just flat out hit it. The first one said, "Welcome to WestJet." It went so far. Change up from Cassidy Curd. Two out, bottom of the 6th. This Triple Crown Colorado moving closer to a title date with Japan, and she had a good rip on the pitch from the star at Duke University, Cassidy Curd out of Port St. Lucie, Florida.
That was a big swing. Good pitch coming up a little bit. That's dangerous with Barbara. 3-2 count.
And another good rip. So this is one of those elite level battles. See who's going to win it. Barbara or Curd? Koffel ranging. And then an errant throw.
That glove work at shortstop is phenomenal. You can see how she opens up a little bit, drop steps back, and then makes that open throw. Does go wild, but that's a very athletic play, tough to make when Barbara's hitting it that hard.
San Diego State went to Utah in their best of 3 super regional and won game number 1 and then lost 10-1 and 7-2. Mackenzie Barbara playing a huge role in their success this year. She's at first. Called a hit. But Koffel went a long way.
She's talking about it over at shortstop now, too. That range, the quicker you can get to a hard hit ball up the middle, you cover more ground. You talked about Natasha Watley several times and the range she had as an athlete. These TC Colorado players, whether it's the outfield or the infield, they've got incredible range.
Filler, who had the most important at-bat in Italy's 6-2 triumph over Team Canada to start the day and end their Canada Cup hopes, flies out to right. And now Triple Crown Colorado is 3 outs away from playing Japan, and for this program, a second straight year in the Canada Cup final at beautiful Softball City. Aaron Koffel, who was very close to making a brilliant defensive play. Mackenzie Barbara with yet another hit, but was left stranded. And to the top of the 7th we go. Japan awaits in the championship final that will be played probably about a half an hour after this game is over, maybe a little sooner. What's it going to be like to leave here before midnight?
These games have been long and they've been surprising. Like, everyone puts up a fight. You think one team's going to win. They come back. They get ahead. They've been really good games and drag out a little bit, but it's worth it because any team at any moment can come back, really.
There's change up, and a good one from Alice Nicolini. And you have said, even on our broadcast, that she is like a human computer when it comes to this sport.
She's so intelligent in the game, and she pretty much is a scouting report on her own, which is huge because if you need it instantly like I've done or needed many times at shortstop, she can tell me where this player hit the ball or when I'm up to bat what I did and what pitch it was, and that's crucial from the offensive side.
Have you ever asked her if she has interest in coaching this program at some point? And I know she's got probably a number of years left in her if she decides to, but it sounds very much like the stories I've heard of Canadian head coach Kaylee Rafter. Same kind of conversations when you talk about what makes her special and was probably destined to move from behind home plate to take the Canadian senior women's program over.
Yeah, with Rafter moving on to the staff, that's really big for Team Canada. And again, players switching over to that staff position is so, I think, incredibly helpful. And with Nicolini and European softball, that's unfortunately not that popular, and kind of pursuing on after having a great softball career really isn't in it because it's not so popular, if that makes sense. And I know Nico loves this game and works hard at it, but I don't think she'd want to coach. But she's incredible to have a player on the field like, this is where this ball's going. All right, I trust you. I'm adjusting to it.
Well, when I hear stories about people like that, I just think they have so much to give and so much to offer, long after the game is done. But the reality is, and you're going through a transition yourself, is you end up at 32 or 33, or maybe you play a little longer. Not everybody is Yukiko Ueno at 40, about to be 41 next weekend. One of the all-time greats, and how awesome was it to have a chance to see her in person for the first time in 21 years, going back to the World Championships in Saskatoon in 2002. Her first of 5 World Championships is back-to-back walks for Koffel and Sarah Gordon, who is head of day. 2 singles, run batted in, sacrifice bunt that turned into a 2-run bunt because of an Andrea Filler throw that was errant and ended up down the right field line. And that's really the play in the game that has changed the whole scope of it.
And we've seen that plenty of times, that it can be one error that changes a game or blows it open or puts it out of reach. Even though it is 4-0, can Italy come back? They have the possibility. They have the capability. They have the offense. But this is international professional softball in a sense, and one error can really close the door for your team. And that's fun, but when you're on the other side of it, it's not fun.
Nikki McGaffin, who's from Fort Collins, Colorado. A pitcher, but also can lay down a good sacrifice bunt. And she executed it very nicely, as even at 4-0. And David King, who would know that individual, I'm guessing, very well. Probably has had a lot to do with her development, running the Triple Crown Colorado softball program. Gives her a little way to go. A little fist bump. Well,
I want to say recently, at least, that's the first sacrifice bunt that has gotten down on the first attempt. And it's difficult, but it shouldn't be that difficult. So props to her and coming in, doing her job.
Part of their 7-player pitching staff. I'm wondering who we're going to see in the final. Shouldn't quite go there yet. Still 1 at-bat left. But right now, hard to imagine this group giving up 4, but we have seen some very odd things. And Italy was involved in one of those oddities. Down 4-0 after the first in their final round robin game against Mexico to determine who would have the 4th playoff spot and an extra playoff life here. A big added bonus. Top 4 as opposed to teams that finish 5 through 8 in the round robin who are immediately into single elimination games. Found themselves down 5-3. Got a Marta Gasparotto single with 2 out in the 7th. Went to the extra inning. 6-5. They made a running mistake. 2 out. And Mackenzie Barbara, the Barbara Blast, tied it at 6, and then they won it 7-6 in the bottom of the 9th in a game that I certainly won't forget, and there are many that we've had the pleasure of bringing you this week. Rylan Hedgecock And if it wasn't in danger before, that hit a 2-run single off the bat of Rylan Hedgecock. Is going to send Triple Crown Colorado now almost certainly to the championship final and a third game this week against 9-0 Japan. And a pinch runner.
We talk about a few times the team chemistry that these national teams are trying to build, and this TC Colorado team, speaking with them all, they flew out here and met each other, and that was it. And so yes, most of them probably know each other, have played each other in college, but there's national teams that are taking months and months to kind of be cohesive with each other, and this TC Colorado team looks like a team that has been together for a long time. So it's really, we see how important it is to be able to be open with each other and be teammates and have that come first. And it's good to see them do this, and they're incredible athletes, and that's a big part in it as well.
So Triple Crown Colorado getting to Alice Nicolini just a little. Here in the 7th, they've scored 2 more, and it is 6-0, as 2 has been their lucky number. 2 in the 3rd, 2 in the 5th, 2 in the 7th. They have unleashed 9 hits against 3 different Italian pitchers here this afternoon. And after the error in the 5th, you can almost feel the pin go into the balloon a little bit.
Yeah, I think this game started off really well, and 2-0, Italy can come back from that. Of course, we've seen them do that. But when TC Colorado gets up, exactly that. It's kind of taking the air out, putting the pin in, and really secures it. And then they just keep going at it and at it.
Jackie Lease had gone 13 in a row without a base hit after starting the tournament with 6 straight. That's a rocket down the left field line, and Vigna used her excellent speed to race over and prevent that from rolling all the way to the fence. That was clobbered. We'll take a quick break. Ilaria Kachamani coming in with 1 out in the top of the 7th. Ilaria Kachamani, who gave Italy a great start. She didn't finish, but she really gave her country an opportunity to beat Canada today with her fine 4-inning performance in their 6-2 win over Team Canada. And you would know far better than anyone. You're the absolute best person to ask this. When you've lost the last 3, and they were big games to Canada, that had to mean a lot to Italy to come here and beat the Canadians.
Yeah, that's a huge win for their morale. I've never beat Team Canada. To see them win this and see the excitement on their face, yes, they are doing well in this tournament, but every international team you face, let alone someone you competed against in the Olympics, it's a rivalry game, and you want to beat them. And so you said Ela pretty much giving the offense a chance to compete is huge, and that's all you can ask when you know you're 0-3 versus a team. Just give your team a chance, and that's a huge win for Team Italy against Canada.
And this game has been extended in terms of the lead, and Talon Edwards, she has absolutely been on fire since the playoffs started. 1 for 3 against Japan last night. A couple more hits today. She is playing very well. The Oklahoma State University player from Moore, Oklahoma, just outside of Oklahoma City. I keep trying to rack my brain for the home of Oklahoma State, which should come to me without looking it up. I've watched it on television many times. Can even see the floor at their basketball facility and between this crazy 2 sets of ears. Is that a fair ball? Not quite. Mackenzie Wilson. Did you look it up?
It's Oklahoma State?
Yeah.
Right? I did.
Kay.
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, don't tell me yet.
I'm not going to.
Give me till I'm going to have to do it, and I promise I'm not going to look it up. You have evidence that I'm not going there. It's been driving me crazy for 3 innings. As Kachamani, who had 14 strikeouts in relief in that wild affair that I mentioned about Mexico and the comeback, she came in the first with her team down 4-0. Had 14 strikeouts. Rip by Jalia Lassiter. And here comes the stop sign as Talon Edwards wanted desperately to score. But she put on the brakes quickly. Stillwater.
Yeah. Stillwater, Oklahoma. And good thing she stopped at third. I think they would have had her at home.
They would
have.
have.
Stop.
It's a great throw.
Coots has an amazing arm. Like all the outfielders, we see arms getting stronger and stronger for all athletes. That was a good throw.
Great sport. Athletes just keep getting better and better. I'll take a little hit with my coffee. Took a second.
It took me a second.
It's okay. We're both a little groggy at this point. I admit it. And punchy. I'm punchy. You're just, as usual, so nice and calm and kind of keep me dialed in a little bit. Well, that's a little excessive. Danica Coffey is the hitter's name. She is 3 for 4 in the game. Up to 15 hits in this tournament. She was named an all-star yesterday. Stealing attempt. Lassiter. Safe. All Triple Crown Colorado. 2-2. third and fifth, and now 2 and 2 does make 4 in the 7th. And it's 8-0. Another one of these, it isn't an 8-0 game. Or maybe 10. As Danica Coffey has 2 more runs batted in. She has her 4th hit of this playoff game. She's 4 for 5. Some week for the star at LSU, Danica Coffey.
Well, these are standout Division I college, just college players in general, and they're living up to the last year that they had as well. We've talked about this a little bit, underdog stories and pressure, and they've got nothing to lose, but they're really living up to their personal reputations that they have at home. Instead of coming here and not really caring or something, they're living up to how well they do in college, and you're able to turn that over, proves that you're a strong athlete. It's a strong softball player.
I have a pretty strong inkling. You know USA Softball is scouting here. Seen that. Now, even though they have just completed winning their World Cup stage qualifier in Ireland, which they did yesterday, I'm going to bet Heather Tarr, the head coach of Team USA, will be watching, if not tonight's game live, that video will find her, and she will find it, because there is no better opportunity to impress the United States head coach than to play a good game against the team they're about to play next, Japan. 10-0 Triple Crown Colorado in the semifinal of the Canada Cup. Six runs in the 7th. And that's been one of the oddities this week, Amanda. There's been a lot of games this week that end up very lopsided. And here's another one that doesn't tell the story. It really doesn't. Now, I'm not taking away what I just saw with my own 2 eyes as they're up to 13 hits and 10 runs. But the difference in this game where it completely turned was a sacrifice bunt and an errant throw that turned the game from 2-0 to 4-0. And you could have almost shut it down right there.
Right, just like that. I'd say going into this game, Italy was the underdog, and they held their own. But one throwing error that scores 2 can just open the floodgates, and we saw that happen here. And instead of 4-0, it's 10-0. You're completely out of this game at that point.
Yeah, that play, and Jackie Lease, who hit a rocket as part of that 6-run explosion, now back in over there at second for Haley Morrow. 0-0 is Jackie Lease. Cassidy Curd came on in the top of the 4th, or in fact may have entered the game in the 3rd. She's going to pitch in a College World Series or two, I bet. She was 1 win away from doing it this time before losing Duke University to Stanford. She had a great game 1 and then tough game 2. Stanford has a first-year player, Nigeri Canada. She'll play, I believe she's on the U.S. team for that Japan series. We'll see. They produce several, including half of this staff for Triple Crown Colorado, and they have great ones right now that just pitched in Ireland. Jordy Ball in that class. Amanda, something about Nigeri Canada that I think she has superstar U.S. ace potentially. Now again, a little biased. Just watched her at the College Women's World Series and reminded how she was in her first year. She was outpitched, not really, but didn't beat Oklahoma, but pushed them to the absolute brink. And this game has not been pushed to the brink by the time it was all over. Congratulations, Italy. Been a pleasure. After a bit of a tough beginning, played Italy, played Japan, played Triple Crown Colorado, played Canada in 3 of their first 4 games, got in a groove, and I know what game they're going to be talking about leaving here, and it's not this one. It's their first win in a long time. I'd have to double check. I wonder if today was actually Italy's first ever win against Canada in an international competition. I think it might have been. So they end up 3rd. We'll take a break and be back in about a half an hour with a championship final. It's Powerhouse Japan and this very talented college all-star team known as Triple Crown Colorado. For Amanda, I'm Peter. So long for now from Softball City.
Welcome to Mont Hill Golf and Country.
For the latest in softball innovation, the website where you can experience the best tournaments in the Americas. Live games, news, tournaments, and much, much more. The best quality live softball, on demand so you can watch when you want. Become a Premier member now. SoftballPremierTV.com. Live it on Softball Premier.